Hey, what's up YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over the character Diona and her support capabilities. She is a great base for all team comps, providing everything you need in a strong Abyss comp. She has adequate shields, heals, and provides a great amount of energy particles. One of her most popular teams where she's mostly used in is the Eula team, where she provides viability as a character who can provide shielding, healing, and energy particles to Eula's high cost burst ultimate. With the introductions out of the way, I'm going to showcase my Diona and then get into the guide. My Diona has 21k max HP. She has 80% crit rate, 125% crit damage, 140 energy recharge, and 18 cryo damage bonus. She has the R2 sacrificial bow. I have her on the Noblesse set. I have her at C6, and she's running 2-11-11 on her talents. First, let's get into the talk of best weapons for Diona. The two best choices for Diona are arguably between the Favonius Warbow and the Sacrificial Bow. I like the Sacrificial Bow because I have a 50% chance to end my own cooldown, in which if I do achieve this 50%, I can basically achieve 100% uptime on Diona's shield. At level 90, the Sacrificial Bow will have an energy recharge rate of 30.6%. Moving on to the Favonius Warbow, at refinement 4, crits have a 90% chance to generate a small amount of energy particles, which will generate 6 energy for the character and can only occur once every 7.5 seconds. This is a great bow for Diona that will allow her to provide more energy particles to your team comps. And at level 90, the Favonius Warbow will have about 30% more energy recharge than the Sacrificial Bow. So this means you'll be getting your ult up much earlier. You also get 2 Favonius Warbows for free at the beginning of the game during Genshin Impact story quests. To summarize these two bows, the Favonius Warbow will give you more ults for your Diona and more energy particles for your team. The Sacrificial Bow, on the other hand, gives you the opportunity to use your elemental skill twice, which provides the amount of energy particles and virtually gives you 100% uptime with your shields. If for some reason you can't get your hands on either the Sacrificial Bow or the Favonius Warbow, which is odd because it's free for everyone, you can also rely on the 3-star Recurve Bow. It gives you a 10% HP substat, and this can be used for Diona's ult scaling and her shield scaling. Moving on into the artifacts category, first I'm going to dwell on the best artifact sets for Diona, and then I'm going to go into artifact stats for Diona. First, I'm going to give a short disclaimer about why the Tenacity of the Millilith set isn't a great set for Diona. If you plan to use the Tenacity of the Millilith 2-piece set, that is completely fine for Diona. But a lot of people think that the 4-piece set is great for Diona, which really isn't. The 4-piece set of Tenacity of the Millilith requires her element to skill to consistently deal damage to keep proccing the 4-piece set and giving your characters the attack buff. Diona can't keep up this consistent elemental skill damage and therefore will not get the chosen attack buff off the 4-piece set from the Tenacity of the Millilith. Moving on, my favorite set for Diona is a 4-piece Noblesse Oblige set. Sure, the 2-piece set is elemental burst damage is increased by 20%, which really isn't that great on Diona, but the 4-piece gives amazing support capabilities. It says using an elemental burst increases all party members' attack percent for 20% for 12 seconds. With this set, she can now heal, she can shield, give us energy particles, and now give us an attack bonus. This set is what makes Diona extremely great. It enables Diona to be all forms of support in our team comps. Of course, this is only my favorite set on Diona, and there are other options like a 4-piece Instructor set. It increases Elemental Mastery on Diona by 80%, and when using an Elemental Reaction, increases all party members' Elemental Mastery for 120 for 8 seconds. This is really great if you're using Diona in an elemental reaction team comp, but mostly for melt team comps or freeze team comps. You can also opt for a 2-piece Tenacity of the Millelith and a 2-piece Emblem of Severed Fate. The granted bonuses from both 2-piece gives you HP, which will increase the scaling on your shield, and the uptime, you get your ultimate back. Next, let's go into the desired stats for Diona. When rolling for your artifact substats, the highest priority stats in this case are actually energy recharge and HP percent. Diona is a support character and isn't known for dealing burst damage, so crit rate and crit damage are not as needed as much as HP percent and energy recharge. You want to stack your Diona's HP just so she can protect your characters for longer and get a harder shield strength, and you want to stack energy recharge so you can use your burst ultimate and heal your characters on field. For your Sands, I recommend running HP. For your Goblet, again, I recommend running HP, and for your Circlet, you can either run HP or healing bonus. I'm currently running healing bonus on my Diona because I want my characters to stay alive during my Diona ultimate, but you could just as well opt for an HP percent if you want your characters to have a harder shield on them. Next, let's get into Diona's Constellations. Jumping right into Diona's first constellation, A Lingering Flavor. Regenerates 15 energy for Diona after the effects of her ult ends. Her C2 increases her E damage by 15% and increases its shield damage absorption by 50%. Additionally, when the paws hit their targets, it creates a shield for other nearby characters on the field with 50% of the Icy Paws shield damage absorption for 5 seconds. Her C3 increases her ult for 3 levels. Her C4 is when you're in the radius of her ult, Diona's charge time for her aim shots is reduced by 60%. Her C5 increases her shield for 3 levels, and her C6 is characters within her ult will gain the following effects based on their HP amounts. Increasing incoming healing bonus by 30% when HP falls below or is equal to 50%, and elemental mastery increased by 200% when HP is above 50%. The highest constellation power spikes that I see for Diona is her C2 and her C6. Her C2 gives you the added bonus of increasing your Icy Paws damage and shield absorption both by 15%. This is what we want. We want the shield absorption to be increased by 15%. That way, the shield will take more damage instead of us, and Diona will serve her purpose better as a healer. Her C6, on the other hand, for me is a lot better. When you are inside Diona's ult radius, and you usually will be, once your HP is above 50%, and again, if you're in an ult radius, it probably will be above 50%, you'll get a plus 200 elemental mastery. This is extremely good for one-shotting and good for high elemental reaction team comps. This is already great for Diona because you want to run her already in high elemental reaction team comps, mostly in melt comps, paired with your HocADoo or your Diluc. This constellation isn't as highly valued if you're running a Eula team comp, so if you get Diona at C2, I'd say that's a good place to stop rolling, because Diona C2 is pretty much where her power spikes usually end. Next, let's get into Diona's talents. First, we got Diona's normal attacks. If you're building Diona of a support, you don't want to level her charge attacks because her normal and charge attacks don't have a high enough scaling, but I have seen some off-meta Diona builds that utilize her C6, but this is going to be just a pure support Diona guide, so I'm going to focus on support Diona. Next, we're going to get into Diona's skill. She fires an Icy Paw that deals cryo damage to opponents and forms a shield on hit. The shield damage absorption scales off Diona's max HP, and its duration scales off the number of Icy Paws that hit their target. If you tap Diona's shield, she rapidly fires 2 Icy Paws, but if you hold it, she dashes back quickly and then fires 5 Icy Paws. The shield created by a hold attack will gain a 75% damage absorption bonus. The shield created has a 250% cryo damage absorption bonus and will cause your active character to become affected by cryo at the point of a formation of a short duration. If you plan to use Diona, I always recommend going for her hold skill. It doesn't take that much longer to charge up, and you get a stronger shield. Finally, let's get to Diona's Elemental Burst skill. Diona tosses out a special cold brew that deals AoE cryo damage and creates a drunken mist in an AoE. The drunken mist continuously deals cryo damage to opponents within the AoE and continuously regenerates HP of the characters within the AoE. Next, let's get into Diona's passive talents. The first passive talent we have is Cat's Tail Secret Menu. Characters shielded by Icy Paws have their movement speed increased by 10%, and their stamina consumption decreased by 10%. Next up, we got Drunkar's Farce. Opponents who enter the AoE of the signature mix have a 10% decreased attack for 15 seconds. And finally, we got Complimentary Bar Food. When a perfect cooking is achieved on a dish with restorative effects, there's a 12% chance to attain double the When leveling up Diona's talents, I think it's extremely important to level up your talents due to what your Diona needs. If you think your team needs a stronger shield, then I would level up her Icy Paws. But if your team is in need of more heals, I would level up her signature mix. But I think both of these abilities are pretty good to enhance, so I would just try to upgrade both of their talents the same. And I would not upgrade her normal attacks at all because she's support and she's not really using her normal attacks to their full potential. Finally, let's get into our team comps for Diona. This team building section is where I feel like Diona shines the most as a 4-star support. She is extremely flexible into any team comp and provides to the team that she's in with shields, heals, and energy particles. If you're wondering what Abyss team Diona could fit in, I would recommend teams that need a shield like Xiao and Hu Tao, or teams that rely heavily on elemental reactions if you have Diona at C6. She also goes hand in hand extremely well with plenty of cryo DPSs like Ganyu, and most of all, Eula. Eula's burst is known to be quite expensive, and using Diona as a battery can generate tons of energy particles that you can quick swap to your Eula and gain all those particles and use your final ultimate. If you are running Diona on the Favonius Warbow, the Favonius Warbow will grant her the white elemental particles. These white elemental particles will charge up any character's burst as long as you switch to them regardless of their element. Gaining these white elemental particles are great because it allows your DPS to build less energy recharge and more into crit rate and crit damage. Diona's most popular Abyss teams is inside a Ganyu team with Ganyu, Diona, Sucrose, and Mona, or inside a Eula team with Eula, Ball, Fischl, and Diona. Now of course these are just the most popular teams in the Spiral Abyss, but again, Diona is super flexible and can fit into any team comp. That's about all I got to cover for Diona. Just to quickly summarize the entire video, I think she's a really strong unit, she's entirely flexible, and she's quite similar to Bennett. Instead of an attack buff, Diona actually does have a shield, but she can gain an attack buff for the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige set. It's just Bennett's attack buff is a lot stronger, and the meta is geared towards more damage. Even though we are falling into a less shield-oriented meta, we are falling into a more corrosion-oriented meta, and this will prove that healing is more useful, so we might see characters like Zhongli start to fall out of the meta and give rise to more healer champs, like Diona. This doesn't really mean that shields aren't going to be as useful. We can still utilize the shield on Diona. The old enemies aren't going away, it's just we're bringing forth new enemies with the corrosion debuff. I think Diona is being slept on by most players, but if you ever get a chance, I highly recommend building Diona. That's about it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you all in the next video.